There it is.
So can you see? So okay, all right. So
there we go.
I've made some redactions. Just
wow.
to protect the people,
the innocent.
The innocent. Yeah, yeah. And so I think in this one, the guy was, so we have this up, send us your plans. Well, first of all, there's a little bit of conversation that goes on between us, trying to pick up some information about exactly what's needed. And then eventually we get in, once we think we understand, what the requirements are, then we say, okay, we're gonna put our products over the top of your plans, make some suggestions about placing and so on. So in this guy's case, he's got a couple of different zones, and we start talking about what products he's going to need in the different areas to make what he thinks he needs work. And usually we'll come up with a couple of suggestions. So he's got a grill area down one side of his house. He's got a seating area around a fire pit in another area. And then we'll show all the products that we think would be ideal for that installation.
What do you call this process, real quick, Simon? What is this whole process? What is this called? Like,
it's
this discovery process.
Is this your design phase, or?
So it starts with it's on our website. It's have a plan. So okay. you look under services and have a plan. Then there's a little questionnaire, 5 questions, just to get a little bit more information. And then that's sent to one of our guys who answers it, and then answers the person inquiring, and if needed, gets more information before, because it's very difficult to get into a detailed plan before you've asked all the questions. And,
right.
and every yard is different. Everybody's requirements are different. And so there is a bunch of backwards and forwards before we get to this point. But this doesn't take very long. This came in, I think, on Saturday, and we had it out to the guy earlier today.
So it looked like he had an L-shaped backyard. Is that what it looked like up there?
Let's go back to
right there.
Yeah, sorry, just losing a little bit of control. Yeah, you can see this.
So he's got 3 zones. Okay.
3 zones, yeah. The one zone, zone 1, is right outside the sliding doors from the house, and he wants to put up a screen right in front of the 2 chairs and the couch. So he wants to turn this area possibly into a movie area as well. Then he has a fire pit, zone 2, and there's a grilling area, zone 3, and wanted to get music in each of those areas, and asked us what we thought could be done. And he wants some streaming services as well. So we've got a couple of different streaming devices in our portfolio. One that's amplified, 3 that are passive. One's got 4 streamers built in, 2 are hardwired, 2 are wireless. So a number of different ways of doing it, depending upon the application and the customer's requirements. So in this case, we came back with. Scroll down to the next image. So for the fire pit zone, we determined that there was a couple of these little, and it's probably too small to see, but in the right corner over here, they're like uplighters, backyard uplighters, and these can be hung as pendants from a ceiling. They can be stuck on the wall and angled out, or they could be put on a stake and banged into the ground. So very flexible in terms of how you want to use them. In this case, in this zone, we said you want 2 of those, and of course, we always want to put a subwoofer in. These little pendant speakers, pretty small 4-inch drive units. They're not going to give you a lot of frequency extension, so adding a subwoofer is going to fill it out and make that zone sound good without having to turn up any of the other zones in the yard. So, and you can tell it's in the left corner of the guy's yard, so it's probably there are neighbors to the left and behind. So again, not wanting to upset neighbors, you keep the system small, concise for that zone. So then we look at the to the right. There's a grilling zone, and in that area, he's got an overhang. You can see from the photo. Let's get my little cursor right. He's got this little patio cover. So there we were suggesting put some of our patio speakers, attach them there, and just aim them back towards the house to the grilling zone. And of course, we wanted to put 4 in there because we think more is better anyway. But 2 would have been okay as well.
Oh, I see.
Now, Simon, just before you go further, why would you kind of aim it towards? I know we've had a conversation about that. What's one of the main benefits of doing that? Like
it's really to avoid spill into the neighbors. You know, it's noise pollution, right? Your neighbors don't necessarily want to listen to the same stuff that you're listening to. So by pointing the speakers away and down, you reduce the amount of noise pollution that escapes your property. Now, you know, we're all going to have parties because that's our nature, and we're always going to crank the system up. And when we do, rule number one, invite your neighbors.
That's right.
Good rule.
Invite your neighbors, because if they're having fun with you, they're not complaining about the noise. Rule number two, as many speakers as possible, keep them low, don't have to play any of them too loud. Everybody can get, you know, pretty good sound pressure level if there's multiple zones, multiple speakers all playing at the same time. It's not like having just one pair where you have to blast them out. Can you imagine in this scenario where the guy's got a wrap around, you're at the grill and he's got one pair of speakers on the side, on the front of the house or back of the house.
Yeah.
To hear those back here, everybody's going to hear them, the neighbors on both sides. So that's not a good solution. So in this case, that second zone or third zone, a few little pendants or patio speakers to be added. And then we show the products that are needed to make that work, and some options as well. You know, you don't have to use our streaming products. It's possible to integrate Amazon Echoes and other streaming devices if you wish.
Right.
And we talk in detail about the products we're specifying. It shows the little pendant speaker that can be ground mounted or wall mounted or mounted as a pendant. It's, you know, it's a real two-way speaker. It has a little tweeter in the middle. It's not a single drive unit that does full range, which is always a bit funky. And then we talk about
like a coaxial.
It's better. Yeah, it's like a coaxial. Yeah, 2 drive units. So.
I'm always curious how those sound. You know what I mean? Because I feel like I'd be more forgiving of you know, outdoor speakers. You know what I'm saying? I'm kind of curious, like what do these sound like?
You know, you're a car audio guy, right?
So, I like car audio. I like if I had an outdoor area, I'd do outdoor. I'd personal audio, everything.
Audio
everything
general. Well, a lot of the car audio systems have that kind of coaxial center-mounted tweeter. I think if you do it well and you design the bridge well, so that it not block in a lot of the mid-range, and you measure it, so you do a bunch of measurements and design the bridge well enough so it's not interfering, then you can make them sound pretty good. I've been selling in-ceiling speakers for years now, and I've always been amazed at just how good they can sound. And that uses a very similar kind of design with a center-mounted tweeter. Now, do our patio speakers, which are more conventional, you know, 5 1/4, 6.5, 8-inch base mid-drive unit with a tweeter above, do I think they sound better? I probably.
Oh, okay, so you have those too.
Yeah, we have those. We have all.
They got the full range of
options. Stuff. Yeah, there's a lot in our catalog, OSD. Audio.com or Outdoor Speaker Depot. You'll find all of our offerings in those 2 places. But you know, when we're designing these systems for people, one of the things the guy said, I might want to put a screen in. So you know, we said, do you want surround sound? Do you want to connect it to an AVR? And we'll specify where the speakers need to go. We'll even suggest if you're using a den. I think we put a den on in here. Yeah, we threw a den on in just to show how it would be wired up, even though we don't sell Denon, obviously.
So that's awesome.
That's awesome right there.
That's like taking it literally to the next level.
Yeah. So the guy's got a TV. He's going to mount it. I'm pointing at my screen. You can't see that. He's going to mount the TV here, and then we're suggesting speakers all around. We've got a couple of speakers either side of the screen. Got some height speakers going here, so we can get Atmos going, or that's to the side and higher. And these are just options. You know, we've taken the guy's requirements and expanded them out and thrown some stuff back at him and said, okay, this is what we think might do the trick. Let us know. And we wrap it up with, we even talk about the Denon detail.
Wow, check that out.
Wow, look at this. Look at you guys.
Yeah. And like you said, you don't even sell that. And so that's taking customer service to the next level. I like that.
How do we do Atmos outside? And you sort of roll down the screen. How do we do?
Hey, it makes sense if you think about it, right? How many people are doing like projectors? Like that would never do a projector, right? But because of what's going on right now, they're like, hey, I want a projector, put it outside. All right,
Yeah.
we'll do that, and then also take it to the next level. Why don't you have a surround sound outside? Better acoustics probably than your inside your house. So
collection to deal with.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of these right now.
That's pretty cool.
And it helps if you're underneath some sort of patio cover.
Sure.
Because then you have a position to mount the height channels in the right places. If you don't have that, then you tend to have to put them up as high as you can off to the sides, wherever you've got a point.
Ceiling bounce here.
No. Oh, come on. Ceiling bounce. Is that even a thing? I mean, I know.
Michael, please do an Atmos setup outside.
An Atmos setup outside.
That would be so awesome, and a projector setup too.
Yeah, I got plenty of projection. I can't outdo what I've got inside. There's no way.
Well, you did not outdo, it's an extra one.
Yeah, it's for
if I had a pool out there, I would.
Oh,
that would be cool. If my kids are swimming and we're swimming and something's playing music videos or whatever, that'd be cool. But other than that, I don't know. I'd rather be in, because think about it again. I live in Florida. There's mosquitoes and so.
Oh, right.
Okay, so there are other things to think about.
Yeah,
Well, so this is cool. So you have this guy. You showed him an outdoor setup, Simon.
Yeah, we showed him just all the different options that he could go, and then we put the whole thing together in terms of a quote. And so with the different options, so you can do this, and it's going to cost that. You can do this, it's going to cost that. We even throw the price in on the Denon that we pick up online. It's Crutchfield this case, but so just to give the guy a full idea of what he's in for, depending on what he wants to do, and then usually after this stage, this was just this morning, there's still some backwards and forwards. Questions are asked and bounce off the moon.
I had to put that up. Oh my gosh, that cracks me up, Fred.
Yeah.
So you got those time delay things, milliseconds you can add on the AVR, like distance. So you're adding a little bit of time delay,
like 2 miles.
what is the time delay from the moon?
Pretty long.
It's the speed of sound divided by distance.
Yeah.
So that's awesome, Simon. It looks like you guys are going way above and beyond, to get people what you think they should get.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. And I've only been with the company a short while, and I'm loving this aspect of the company. I didn't even realize that that they did that we do this. I come more from the the dedicated theater, from the cinema background, and to architectural speakers as well. And I've sold outdoor stuff, but I've never seen this kind of attention to detail, like helping people design what they're doing. And I've spent many years working closely with CEDIA, the Custom Electronic Design and Installation Association. These are all professionals, and clients are super rich, and I've always felt, these guys have so much money that if it's a $20,000 outdoor system or a $50,000, these guys, for them, it's chump change. So
yeah, sure.
And so I've not really been looking at it from the perspective of the hobbyist who wants to do it themselves and wants to get into it at a lower price point. Except wherever I've lived, my neighbors have found out that I'm the audio guy. So they're all saying, hey, what do I need in my backyard? So where I used to live until recently, I had 7 neighbors with systems that I'd all specified and helped them install and cranked it up. And probably because they'd heard mine when I was cranking mine up, and they wanted something so they could drown mine out, because it was so we had a pretty noisy neighbor, but we're all friends, and so if anybody was partying somewhere, someone just knock on their door and join in.
So the rule number 1 is you said invite them, but also make sure to be friends with them.
Yes.
First.
Yeah.